Sight measuring technique in beginning drawing. A demonstration by David Edward Harmon, applicant. Historically, the ancient Greeks gazed at the evening sky and noted star patterns as dots, which they eventually named. They saw a relationship as keen observers as to where these constellations were located. They also knew that they shifted according to seasonal changes, as we can see in this slide to the right here. Although life drawings on paper do not exist, there is speculation that they also use the connecting dots procedure to their measurement of the human form, as seen in this Greek ceramic work. As defined, sight size is a method of drawing an object exactly as it appears to the artist. This is done on a one-to-one scale. It was developed in the 19th century. The rules are strict, and it builds your ability to see, replicate, and render objects from a direct observation. It is a technique used widely in many workshops and ateliers in Florence to copy ancient sculpture. We can see that sight measuring stick in play there, which we will also utilize in our particular demonstration. Drawing materials and tools. As you can see in the two slides, the tools are laid out. One kneaded eraser, 2B drawing pencils, an alignment tool, a skewer stick or chopstick is ideal, a viewfinder 2x3-inch window cutout, standard 80-pound drawing paper, an easel, and one drawing board. The sight measure drawing process. Set up your 3 objects on a stand with white paper or cloth underneath. Position your objects to provide an effective composition. Set up studio lights to illuminate your objects to create shadows, thus providing 3D illusion. Take your viewfinder to check the object's positioning and space between each object. You can see the arrangement I've created here on the right. Use a viewfinder to determine your overall composition. Use your pencil to sight measure each object angle. So you can see in the 2 slides, I'm holding a viewfinder, basically framing and focusing in on that group of 3 objects. And then I'm using my pencil to sight measure each individual objects. We'll see the transfer method in a few minutes. On your paper, lightly place dots to locate edges. These can be connected later, much like a children's connect the dots sheets, but without numbers. Continue using your pencil to locate angles and draw them accordingly. So we can see in the first slide here, the holding alignment of the pencil in relation to the object that's being utilized. And then of course, the measuring technique of a particular angle there, in this case, a cube. Some angles can be challenging to draw. Therefore, you will want to use a gestural approach and draw your lines lightly. You can correct and erase these later. So we can see in 4 slides here, the pencil alignment technique being utilized in this pyramidal object. Each angle is analyzed and then positioned over your drawing paper to place it in line accordingly. The dot technique is used throughout the drawing. Dots are connected to reveal objects. Don't be afraid to draw right through the shapes like an X-ray. So you may see where they're located in the composition. So we can see a small gestural drawing to the left here. It's being realized, and then it's finalized in the slide to the right. At this stage, the composition is emerging. A skewer or chopstick can be useful as a measuring tool. In the following images, you can see the still life object angles. Here, shape, location, and relationships are the key to a successful drawing. Additional objects are drawn, and the eraser is used to clean up or correct drawn edges. Hatching lines can be added on the objects and their respective shadows to create values for 3D shape illusion. So we can see the connecting of those dots for that cube to the left. The middle is correcting some stray lines in the pyramidal form. And then finally, we can see shading applied on one side of the pyramid, and of course, in the shadow range. Final approaches can include turning the drawing upside down to check the composition and corrected erase as needed. As you can see, the sight measuring technique is a fundamental procedure to ensure an accurate drawing. The following slides are those of my completed students' work in drawing 1 and 2. The use of sight measuring to determine effective composition was incorporated along with other drawing techniques. In this slide, the student drew a building using charcoal and sight measuring to ensure proper alignment of edges and angles to reveal 2-point perspective. So the charcoal drawing here shows that. It's also a sense of depth perception that's provided as well because of the sense of perspective there. This is a slide of a personal still life composition the student had set up outdoors. Sight measurement was essential to ensure that each object was placed at proper angles in relation to one another. And this also includes reflection and a few other techniques of texturing and things of that nature on the surface itself, all done with graphite. This slide was part of a classroom setup of miscellaneous objects. Students were required to create a finished drawing. The compositional relationship among the objects was ensured once again by sight measurement. Although complex, it's actually a very simple formula of an arrangement of objects here, with even a sense of depth perception with the strong lines in the foreground and weaker lines as they go back. But you can also see the angularity of certain straight-edged objects. Even the table underneath is emerging. This slide is a close-up of a graphite drapery fold project revealing strong angular shapes. These shapes are organic, yet require sight measuring technique to provide effective composition. Once again, a complex composition, yet you do see that there are various areas within and underneath the drapery folds which define the folds and also the objects underneath. That's the cool thing about drapery. In my figure drawing class, sight measurement techniques are used along with planar analysis. In this standing female nude drawn from life observation, various anatomical parts have been measured and drawn to scale. The following slides were part of my still life series, including both interiors and still life objects, which were drawn using sight measuring. All objects were set up by me and drawn from direct observation. The medium is dry pastel on paper, 30 inches by 40 inches in size. As you can see, there's a wide range of objects here, and I purposely made this a very complex composition, partly because I'm more interested in those things and creating that illusion of depth perception. Also, angularity is there because of sight measuring and really appropriating the right angles and the correct positionings. Another is a interesting drawing of light emerging out of an old abandoned window. I had a studio at one time that had that kind of configuration. So various objects are set in strategic compositional locations to draw the eye in, creating a sense of perspective, but also, once again, that sight measuring, very, very important to ensure the proper angles are exhibited in the drawing. Another drawing is also, once again, a complex composition. You see, I'm quite interested in that with drapery folds and miscellaneous objects. Things taped up, a mannequin maquette in the upper left-hand corner collides with a wall, but everything done once again from direct observation. A floral arrangement here doesn't require a lot of angular lines, yet measurement is also there. And I also encourage my students to draw those cylindrical objects. They're very difficult to draw. So I always say to my students, what I have drawn, I teach. So I have had that experience. Another drawing is about cloning, and this one was particularly interesting for me. I'd read something about that. And you can see a number of masks here of basically about the same image, even a reflection of that image is occurring there. A flask, and of course, various test tubes, a little mannequin play toy there, a light, and various folded pieces of paper there. Another shows the alignment of the edge of the tabletop and that angular alignment of the step stool right above. Once again, all done from direct observation, all carefully sight measured, and everything is in its place due to measurement of the eye and, of course, the tool that I'm using, in this case, is straight edge. Lastly is an image of my brother, Tom. in an interior space full of angles. As you can see here, we have a combination of a figure, we have a still life, and we also have definitely an interior space that's exacted here. So once again, the process of site measuring is extremely important. Thank you.